Calling order, okay, Victor Rosas. We're going to start with number 3, presentation update of the gym enclosures by ADP IMCO Incorporation.
Number 3, presentation.
They didn't hear you.
Yeah, they get it. Pasa? Oh, okay.
Good afternoon. Dr. Day, Superintendent, committee members, staff, members. My name is Ruben Castaneda. I'm here for Mr. Mark McCormick, ADP Limco. And I'll be showing you a short slide presentation to bring you up to date on the construction process and status of the elementary pavilions. And afterwards, I'll address a couple of issues that we've come across. And lastly, I'll discuss the updated construction schedule, and then I'll try my best to answer any questions you may have. We have started installing roll-up doors and entrance doors at the first 2 schools that you have on that list, Garza Elementary and Oscar de la Fuente. The following 6 schools are ready for door installation. That would be Roberts Elementary, Sullivan Elementary, Rangerville Elementary, Booth Elementary, La Encantada Elementary, and La Paloma Elementary. The last 2 pavilions, the number 9 pavilion, Cash Elementary, we had to order longer metal panels. There was some discrepancies in the heights from the finished floor to the bottom of the beams, and we didn't want to be overlapping panels, kind of looked a little tacky, so we ordered them. And that one is ready for the panels and door installation as well. The last school, I call it number 10, Downs Elementary, is where we've done the least amount of work. All the material is in inventory. In this school, we have to modify the ADA ramp that's against a building, and also modify some existing canopies that protrude into the existing pavilion.
Existing what?
Pardon me?
You said I have to look through what, do something existing?
Mike.
Existing canopies that protrude into the existing pavilion. So we have to modify so we can install our structural vertical panels and doors. Okay. Some of the issues that we've come across and have been brought to our attention are the following. We have screw threads protruding into the interior of all the buildings, not only at the bottom of the bays, but up through the panels. Our recommendation is to install similar vinyl protectors. We don't feel that's the safest thing to do, but it's the quickest thing to remedy the issue at this time. The other issue is at the base and along and over every footing, we have very sharp edges that are very unsafe. And our recommendation at this point is to install some type of vinyl insert over the sharp edges, all around the perimeter of each building. We don't think as a team that it is the best solution. We feel strongly that for the long run, we ought to build a perimeter wall or a perimeter wall around every pavilion, and then resurface the wall with proper material, and you eliminate all the unsafe elements that can eventually, that's really unsafe for everyone, not just kids.
Excuse me, I thought you were already experienced on, y'all had done this before. It seems like all of these problems that you're coming across shows that you probably had never done this before. Have you? Have you done these buildings before? Because, y'all are coming out through all of this, that's, dangerous and things that you came up with, and we thought with thinking that you already knew what y'all were doing, you had done them before, and now all these problems come about. Who's at fault here?
On that issue, well, we're gonna do one of those sharp edges and those screws. We want us for us to cut them off, but the engineers say we cannot sharpen them off. And we're not gonna, that's the engineer recommendation. I was about to pay attention on that as soon as we started. And first thing I went to the engineer was, you do not take that, because that would take the windstorm certification. And so, when we came up with this, there is inserts for those screws. And we actually ordered them to install them. They want us to shop them off, and we can't shop those things off. They have to be there. On the buildings, usually on the buildings, you would have to put an insulation, insulate it, and then put a wall. If you wanted to do it for an indoor facility, we're gonna put an AC, air conditioner. But being that these are gonna be exposed, they're gonna be moist coming in back and forth because there's openings in the upper existing facility. So if you start putting any of that, you're gonna get moisture. If you know that these buildings were not, when they made these buildings back in '95, they didn't give you drainage just to drain to the sides. So what we ended up doing is putting that angle on the bottom to keep water coming through. And actually we made it penetrate some of the concrete so the water was able to come into the building. We start doing, if we want to do, and that's one of the recommendations that I asked architects about. I think the insert would be fine and for right now, but later on and as you go along, years from now, you could do, that's what he's recommending, you could do that too, where you could have a wall, which, and you don't have to go all the way to the top. You only have to go 7 feet to the first purview. So it's not, just to keep kids from banging, like right now, kids still can bang themselves. Before we did that, kids still practice themselves to those beams. So all we did was cover the existing structure is still there, it was always exposed. I was exposed for kids to run into it.
Yeah, that's the thing, it's the safety.
Instead of just, a lot of them would like to cut off that screw, but that takes the strength away from the holding that metal. So the best thing is to put those inserts, and that's when we order special inserts. And it's not gonna be 200 or 300 thousands we have to insert it. And we're planning to put some kind of, where the kids can just take them off. That's nothing that we're gonna do a change order for you. We're doing it our own, for your safety and for our safety and everybody's liability. And that's what we're doing that. But that's a recommendation that they gave me, the architect gave me to do. Which we're gonna.
So how much longer do we have to wait until it's complete?
That brings us to the construction timeline that I've placed on your desk. What you see in red is what was modified from the original timeline that we presented last time. That's in blue. We pushed the project back approximately 2 weeks. Substantial completion date now is September the 20th, which is 2 weeks from the previous estimated time of completion. On another note, on those safety issues, we did send a letter out from Linus Architect. I sent a letter out indicating our recommendations, and one of them was to cover up all the walls, at least from the first gutter down where the kids wouldn't reach anything, in addition to a few other recommendations that we sent with that letter. So
Mrs. Garcia, can you back up on the picture? The other one, go ahead. This L-shaped thing, normally I would insert that first and then the cover on top of that. The way it's set up, well, it rains and water's gonna go in. That's on the floor, right?
Yeah, but
Yes,
that's
sir.
the inside floor. That's on the outside floor.
That's on the east side floor?
That's inside,
Yes.
it's inside, that's inside.
Yeah.
Okay,
On the outside, there is, they did saw cut and we put, sheet metal going, so the water's not gonna come in.
okay, it's an L shape, okay,
And that's one of the things that it's actually taking us a while, because instead of us coming in there and just putting this to flat and let it go,
yeah,
we ended up to saw cut all of that. And we did all the perimeter and we embedded
okay,
about 2 inches into the concrete, and then we're gonna seal it with cedar, so you don't
Okay.
have water coming into the building, because those buildings are actually set level. There's
no runoff,
so that's what we did it that way, and that's what we're doing to all the buildings. And if you go and look at them around them, you'll see them all sucked up all around. the
okay,
perimeter. And that's to keep water from coming into the building. And that's one thing that we have to do.
okay.
So I got a question. Back to what Ms. Weaver said and also Mr. Rosas here. I have the same sentiment. You know, we've been dealing with you guys since February, okay? Very disappointed with your progress. Every time you come up, there's more and more excuses. Like Ms. Weaver said, she addressed a question to you and you really didn't answer it. The question is, you know, when we went out for RFQs or RFPs on this project, you know, all this stuff should have been addressed in a timely manner. But it continues to, you know, delay, you know, and more excuses, you know. So the thing is, if you know that you're behind schedule, why don't you bring on additional contractors to help you expedite this whole process? We won't have to be going through this issue. Okay, so this stuff about these screws not being where they need to be and all that other stuff, I mean, to me, you know what, man, I mean, this is an area where the kids are playing, so that's no excuse. I mean, that's no excuse, you know, to me, anyway. So from a constituent and a parent in this district, I'm very disappointed with your progress, you know, and I remedy a solution. You know, I wanted to ask Doc or whoever dealt with their contract, is there any penalty fees that they have if they don't meet a certain deadline?
liquidated damage.
This is something that went through by board. I don't even recognize who the architect is. We have a rotation with regard to our architect, so it's something else that
Okay, so that's one of the issues why there's no urgency here, because it went through by board, I'm assuming, because I'm not sure if there was penalty fees here on paying them for finishing a deadline, there wouldn't be delaying.
Zone said it was an RFP, but
Oh,
I'll look at it.
okay, please, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Nope. Other questions? Thank you. Okay, number 4, presentation of project updates and concerns water testing at the high school and country schools.
Member of the board, Dr. Carmen. Update on September projects. Some may be duplicates of the last presentation. The first one is Veterans Memorial, new flooring, at the library. Next one is a new project that we had, is the library flooring at Oscar de la Fuente. We hadn't used that flooring before. It's kind of different. Miller Jordan, the parking lot, that looks a little dark because it's taken, as you can see, the sun kind of late in the afternoon. But we're sealing three parking lots in the district, and that one had just been painted, so you can hardly see it. San Benito High School remodeling, that's an old one, different views. It's 1, 2, and 3 is the C Hall. San Benito High School. Following is the D Hall. In the middle picture, I'd like you to notice the the tennis balls that one teacher put on there. That's really, really nice because they take care of the floors. Yeah, that's really unique that they're taking some pride in their new classrooms. San Benito High School, the front offices, 1 and 2. San Benito High School, the parking lot, you can see the lines crossing the new parking lot. Those are the valley gutters. And the next picture, you'll see the other 2 valley gutters that also come, and with this rain, they did work. So we're good. San Benito High School, on the right side, the darker parking lot, you can see the parking lot in front of the sports complex. That was new. Petacabasa Middle School, we're getting to the roofs.
Mr. Garcia, real quick, on the high
Sure.
school, this is a more general question as far as timeline. With we've done class hallways A, B, C, and D. Is that
Right.
correct?
Correct.
When do you anticipate us completing, or maybe this is a larger question for administration, but completing the rest of the wings for the high school?
I think, Dr. Carmen, we discussed the G and the F, and I was also going to probably include the teacher lounge, which is really small, but it really needs a lot of work. It's in bad shape. And the restrooms in front of the trophy case, and maybe even the black box. Maybe. We could probably take care of the main school with doing that. It'll take care of everything there in the main high school. Then we can move on to the band hall. The band hall is really not that old, not like, because it was an addition. And I don't know, Dr. Carmen, what other ones do you think?
Well, I think as far as the main building, I think we can be done summer 2020. Things like the band hall, but the newer wings on the outside don't seem to be in as much need for renovation. But I think the main building we can have done next summer.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay,
The pace we're at right now, I think
Okay.
we'll have it.
thank you.
Okay, Betacabasa Middle School, we have a new roof in that area. That's the gym area and the dressing room area. We've had problems with that since Dolly, from 2008, as a matter of fact. And on the south wall that you cannot see, in the behind, we had added paneling, a sheet panel, R12 panel, metal panel, because we had a leak along the whole hallway, the main hallway, and we took care of that problem. But then it started leaking along the right side where it's adjacent to those dressing rooms where you see that offset. And hopefully, we'll check tomorrow to see if there are any leaks with that new roof. Should be good. Dr. Cash Elementary, they did, that's a tilt wall building. We had put some finish on it probably about 10 years ago, a roll-on type of finish, and it's got a new roof now. Ed Downs, Fine Arts Academy roof. And that's all including the library also that we're having problems with, and hopefully that new roof will take care of those problems. Frank Roberts Elementary, that's the administrative area in the center, including about 4 classrooms. On the right, you see the first, there's another 3 or 4 classrooms there. In the corner, back right corner, that's the library. And then that long wing has been done, so it looks good. Fred Booth Elementary, you see Fred Booth Elementary since Dolly. We've been having problems there, and all of South, or that would be North Booth, is done. The whole school practically was redone. La Encantada Elementary, that is the oldest part of the school. Those are the 10 classroom buildings that are on the east side of the campus. Miller Jordan is the gym area has been done. Because the A, B, and C wing probably were remodeled about, I'd say about 10 years ago. And the one right in front of the gym, or right behind the gym rather, is the D wing, and that one looks old, but it's not leaky, so we're good. Special services, this is a special services building. You can see it's a little dirty because it's just dirt, but it is a new roof. The kids play baseball in that back corner over there. I think it's been so dry that, maybe with this runoff, maybe it got clean. Sullivan, the next page, Science Academy. They did a good majority of the roof, the cafeterias. No, that's not the cafeteria. That's the first old wing to the left, the old cafeteria, and then it goes back to the other areas and including that wing, that old wing that still exists over there in the back towards the canopy. You can see the canopy back there, the gym enclosure. Veterans Memorial Academy. This school, as we know it, is about 15 years old now. We opened it up in 2004. So it was in dire need since Dolly also, that it got damaged. And they're pretty much complete with this, that's the G wing. And now they're moving on to the other areas where the band halls are and the TV station, the gym areas. I imagine they're gonna do those also. Any questions on the roofs?
I have a question, but it's not on the roofs.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the street to the UTEX building, where, you know, all the buses pass through there and everything, and I know some of the bus drivers, they drive pretty fast when they go through there, and
It was,
that's why.
we had just worked on it last week. We had put some milling that we got from the high school,
Okay.
and we had worked on it. It was pretty good. And then it rained, and it looks horrible right now. It's bad.
That's the thing. It's something
It's
that's
holding
gonna
water.
last, not just like a little Band-Aid and then that's
No.
it. And it's something that's gonna last because, you know, we spend so much money on the buses and, you know, when they pass through there, I mean, they
Yeah,
don't go around the holes, they go through the holes and it's like,
make them deeper, right?
yeah.
Well, the road belongs to the city. We're at their mercy.
Well, we need to get something with the city then.
Yeah, the UTEX
Mayor.
Drive belongs to the
We
city.
talked to the mayor, he works with us.
I think we've gone that road a couple of times. Any other questions?
No.
So we're gonna continue with the
On number
the water
5?
treatment.
Oh, you're gonna, the water system, yeah, go ahead.
Members of the board, as a city and a county, we are provided water to our homes and our schools by both the city and the San Benito Military Highway Water Departments. The district does not have a water filtration plant. We are dependent on the entities to provide clean filtration water, drinking water. I have copies of last year's water reports from the city of San Benito and the Military Highway Water. The reports show that both entities provide potable water. You have those in front of you, right? You can read them at your leisure if you wish.
Actually, last week, sorry.
I can hear you.
Thank you. Last week, we had terrible water from the military highway. I had to call and for my neighbors and myself, and to get them over there to pump something or other, and they never came by. I had to wait 2 days before I could take a nice shower. I had to shower myself with bottled water, warm it up, and so on and so forth. We couldn't do anything with that water. What do we do in a case like that when nobody listens? Then what? Good quality water, they're lying. And we do get a
Well,
report.
if you look at the reports, it
I
is
look at
potable
the
water. I
report.
mean, as I mentioned before in another report, there is lawsuits going on towards them,
Lawsuits,
but,
okay.
but if you see the
How-
report,
How far do you live from one of our schools, Ms. Silva?
Right there, Oscar's office.
Right.
Horrible.
That's concerning.
That's what I'm saying. Even the kids themselves could not drink water.
well, if I was a homeowner in that area, I would do what, I would
Call-
put my own filtration system. I would spend the money.
Yeah, well,
My plumber lives out there towards La Encantada,
yeah.
Mr. Rain from Mario, he's our water expert. He's the one that has supplied us with the report on, I
But
was
do
gonna
have
get
a
to.
reverse
And,
osmosis.
he lives close to the racetrack, they call it, right, that area?
Yeah,
Yeah, and, he filters his own water too. It's a problem
Need to
over
talk
there
to
that everybody has.
thank you, sir. Just-
Okay. The school district has, but we have been proactive for the citizens that were questioning the high school water. We have been proactive, and we've installed water fountains throughout the district. A water fountain you can see on the screens. Those water fountains, you've probably seen them around. They have their own filters in them. Filters are expensive, but we go ahead and buy them. And it'll tell you how many bottles of water it's saving by not having all that plastic around. And they do a good job, especially that's the one at the maintenance department, and we have it hooked into our RO system. So, the guys have good, clean water and ice all the time. We also have installed reverse osmosis systems in the Riverside, La Encantada, La Paloma, Rangerville, and Leal Elementary. We had ordered 5 filtration systems for those schools also. They're on order, and they're gonna back up the RO systems that we already have in these schools. Now, I know that some of the campuses are asking for water, and I question it, because if we have RO water already there, why are we having to take so much water? But, you know, the system is not that big, that RO system that we have in the cafeterias, but they could fill up jugs of water, you know, gallons, you know, or even their bottled waters, and instead of us having to take so much water to the campuses. So I called Ms. Landrum, but she wasn't in today. They're gonna back up those RO systems, and it should make the water a lot better. We have a system like that in Riverside, where we installed we had 2 reverse osmosis systems there, and then we put that filtration system in there, and the filters are still really clean, and it's been about 3 months. So they're gonna work fine. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we did. So we also did a test recently that Mario did, and he tested 8 campuses, some here in the city and some at our country schools. And he's a water expert, so if you have any questions, you have that report in front of you. And if you have any questions about the water, he'll be happy to answer them. He did me a favor and come over here and help me out by coming here and see if you guys had any questions on the water. He'll be glad to answer them for you. Well, thank you. That's it.
Mr. Garcia, before you move on, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Mr. Palacios and his team. I think you ran into some issues with the county, whether drainage or whatnot, but we were able to fix those, and I think that's just a testament to, I think, the teamwork that it takes to make sure that we're improving the projects
Yes, sir.
accordingly. But I know that could have been a big snafu for us in terms of timeline, so.
Oh, yes.
I don't know if Mr. Palacios wants to just update us on that, but I think the fact that we were able to ameliorate that issue in a timely manner proved to be very good for the district.
It was.
Yeah, and if I may add, there is and it could have happened in the past where for some reason, the drainage district for some reason didn't have record of the permitting for their outfall. We've acknowledged the current outfalls that are within the system, within the new parking lot. We are working alongside the rest of the system to ensure that they have permitting. There's some correspondence going back and forth, but we're troubleshooting. We did do queues on all the drainage within the existing high school and acknowledge the outfall. And so we're going to continue working with the drainage district. Hopefully we'll get permitting within the next couple of weeks. But it's not a hindrance to the new upcoming indoor practice facility, but everything's working.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Garcia, I was going to talk to Dr. Carmen about this, the whole filtration system. I think it's, I don't know if it's something that we need to do, or just to reassure our parents that, that those schools that have these new filtration systems, so just to make sure that their kids, and the staff there are.
They know about it.
Okay, good. Yeah, they do they?
They should, yes.
Oh.
It's been 3 years since we installed it.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Continue with number 5, discuss and consider facilities projects, the parking lot at UTEX transportation area. It's already been discussed. He's gonna do it.
Well, and this is the actual parking lot, not the street in front of it. We have 2 estimates. You can see there, $500,000, $750,000. On this project right here, we're recommending that we wait for 2 things. One, we think it would be unwise to invest this amount of money and then have our buses pull right out to the street where all the potholes are.
Yeah.
And same thing happens to suspension, that happens right now. And then 2, before taking on this larger project, we recommend that we go ahead and get our audit, our final numbers, so we know exactly what's left in fund balance before we consider that. But at the end of the day, if we spend $750,000, that's great, while they're parked in our lot, but then that street right outside of UTEX is still not what it needs to be.
Yeah. B, visitors parking lot lighting.
This is gonna be Mr. Cole.
Board members, Dr. Carmen.
We have another lighting project, one for the visitors parking lot now. We received 3 different bids on 3 different varying scales. AEP was probably the one that was the most complete, already has the engineering involved, everything else. E3's proposal was just to replace the existing lights that are on the backside of the stadium, which really is not gonna help the entire parking lot. It's just too big of a structure. They said they could do the lighting poles if we need them to, but it would take engineering, a lot more money involved with that. EIS was kind of a far-fetched theory with the solar lights. That's gonna be a little more difficult just because it's not tried and true yet. AEP, the 250 or 250 high-pressure sodium lights, they're not the most friendly as far as you can say with the electricity. They're not LEDs yet. AEP's not offering those up yet. They do have them in street lights, but they do not have them in floodlights yet. He said maybe that's about maybe a year or 2 down the line to where they'll get to that. But on the next graphic. The next one. That here is basically your layout of what AEP came up with, which is every red dot that you see is an actual light pole. So it's going to be 8 poles in total, 32 lights, 4 per pole. 250 high-pressure sodiums, which will really give off a big backscatter of light all over the place around that field. The good thing is it's already been engineered, so whenever we do decide to lay down a parking lot, we don't have to do anything else. It's already laid out perfectly, so he's already factored that in. The lights themselves, like I said, not the most electrically friendly. And there's one thing that I was trying to get through with him today to see if there was any way we could turn them off, because right now the way they work, all of our parking lot lights work on a timer. Since those aren't going to be used only for football season, why have them on all the time? They're unmetered lights, but it's still a cost. So I'm trying to get that worked out to see if maybe we can, turn them on and off if we want to. I'm not sure about that yet, but that's part of the problem. The other problem was how are we going to get the electricity to each pole? So the only way to do that, since the parking lot has already been packed down good, so it's ready probably to start laying, some type of parking lot on it eventually. If we start to dig it all up, you're just going to cause more problems. So boring was the only other option. So the quotes that we have for boring are a little bit on the high side, not exactly what I wanted, but where our plan is for each one of the poles, or each one of the 8 poles, we're going to run 2 new conduits to each one of them for redundancy. That way, if we have any breakages or anything else like that, as some of y'all know, others don't, AP requires an easement around anything that they do, so that way if they need to dig it up, they can dig it up. Problem is, if we lay down a $500,000 parking lot on top of it, we're not going to want it dug up every time a light goes out. So that extra conduit underneath the ground, they'll just be able to swap over that leg and not have any issues with that. So he kind of looked at it from every different way. The AP proposals, what I'd suggest what we do for right now, we can change the number of lights. We don't have to go with the 4. The 4 was just a complete coverage of the entire parking lot.
Mr. Cole, it'd be realistic to add some solar panels there, so you can get some electricity to those poles, or?
I think with the whole solar thing, and I've looked into that quite a bit. It's the storage capacity. That's where your issues are going to be. Where are we going to store the power? Now you're going to have to build a whole nother separate room to house the actual batteries to store the electricity. You have a big parking lot there. I'm sure we could get it done. It's just, where is it going to go? And that's going to be another cost to it. Now you'll get the solar panels like the ones we have for the gates and stuff like that open and close. This is considerably more electricity involved in this.
We're trying to see what's more
Energy efficient.
yeah, and financially.
And financial, yes. And that's kind of the drawback of it. The solar idea, the solar panels is a great innovation. They have a 5-year warranty on them. The only problem is are they going to continue to work? We've only got 3 or 4 of them around the district, and none of them are 200 watt. That's very large, and the kind of light that they're giving off, transportation, the softball field, it's good, it's not great. It's enough, but parking lots, you usually want something that's gonna really set and be, protective for the vehicles. Talking to Chief Sosa, that's one of the big issues out there, that it's very dark at night, especially during the games. So, the more lit up, the better. The solar option, or the LED option is what I'd like to do, since it's, more efficient. They just don't offer it. Now, we could wait to try to see if we can get one of these other companies to come up with an LED option, which they did. The only thing is AP's got the experience. They've also got the manpower, and that's why the price for them is so low. All these other contractors, would have to hire out all this. So 21,000 for AP, as opposed to some of the other figures that y'all see is, way different, as opposed to what the cost could be with engineering and everything else that they're gonna have to come up with on their own. So the LED option is possible. 250 high-pressure sodiums don't waste that much electricity, but if we can get the option where we can turn them on and off, that would save us, the difference, I think, of going with the LEDs.
So the way the AEP, if I understood this correctly, Mr. Coles, the way the AEP structured their lighting systems with the 250 HPS, so in the near future, you can't transform those to LED lights, correct?
That's something that I think, I haven't talked to Mr. Mayorga about that yet, but it's something that we did approach. When they do offer it, of course, I mean, they don't, I think they charge us, I can't remember exactly what the charge is for them to come out and swap out lights, but it's not ridiculous. So to get them to come out later on, if we don't have the option of turning them off, I think would be very doable.
Okay, cool. All right, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, by the way, Mr. Coles, I wanted to, Dr. Carmen also, I got a lot of compliments at the football game, because the restrooms were air-conditioned.
Well, there were some people that weren't happy with the hairdos because of
Yeah.
the in there.
Yes, ma'am. So, they did want some TVs in there, so we'll work on that. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I want to thank you so much for the urgency on that. I know it was a short period of time, and you took care of it, immediately. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, C, canopies. Who has?
So you've got in front of you some quotes here. The first set of figures there at the top of the page are for elementary campuses. This will get us caught up, I think, with everything that we had started a couple of years ago, as far as having our pickup and drop-off and all of our areas covered. Enclosing some of the exterior gyms is likely going to add some canopy requests to this, so I won't say we're 100% finished, because of now, if our students can go outside in inclement weather, they still have to be able to get there via a covered area. So I won't say this is 100%, but this is 100%, I believe, of everything that when we did the evaluation for pickup and drop-off will get us done at the elementaries. That second section, Mr. Garcia, step out. I'm going to explain this the best I can. On the left-hand side of that column, you have the prices to install fabric shades over the top of these areas as compared to metal canopies. The shades are going to be less money on the front end, and they're probably going to have a shorter life, but with all of our metal canopies, they rust in 10 or 12 years anyhow, so we have remediation we have to do for those. So if you go through this list, that adds a covered courtyard at each of our 3 middle schools. This started with a request from Ms. Silva, of course, regarding BC, but we wanted to check with all of them, and this is what you have. The recommendation, Riverside for the courtyard behind the gym, with the corresponding price. At BC, the south courtyard area, there's a second area there outside of the cafeteria where there are tables. If we move forward with that, that would be paid out of the child nutrition funds. And then at Millard Jordan, there is the south courtyard area, and then there's a small area in front of the gym. You can see they discounted that amount, actually that amount plus $500, so it's essentially at no additional charge to us. So for consideration, you have either $194,000 for these fabric shades, with $70,000 being paid out of child nutrition, versus 388,000. And off of that, you'd have 88.9, and probably of that 49,000, $74, 30-ish would be the install price for that cafeteria area. So those are the two options. Based on the number, I can make a recommendation to you, or you can make a recommendation amongst. I'd recommend the fabric shades just because of the cost, but,
And they'll last for how many years, you said? 15 years?
no, I did not say 15 years. The fabric shades, my guess is, and I wish Mr. Garcia had stayed in here, but my guess is if we get 10 good years out of them, we've done well, yeah. But the metal canopies, several of those that have been around 10 or 15, look at VMA, 15 years, and we're starting to see some rust and deterioration. I don't know how many times they've already repainted those. So nothing's gonna last forever, but, and
I think the fabric will be nice, and it'll give an appearance to all the buildings instead of all metal prison look. So my recommendation is the fabric, but it's up to you all. Okay.
we'll put on next week's agenda then, is for the
Agenda
fabric.
item then. Okay, number 6 is report and presentation of AC on school buses.
Good evening. Good evening, Dr. Carmen and members of our board. I want to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak to you all tonight. I want to present to you all just a quick recap of our summer preventative maintenance program. It's been implemented already for 3 consecutive yelet This is something that we take a lot of pride in what we do to maintain our school buses. So let me just figure out how to change this. Our district does owe 72 school buses. Our entire fleet consists of 72 school buses. And I want to touch base on the air-conditioned maintenance that we did this summer. All of our 72 school buses did receive a preventative maintenance, or I'm going to just say PM, because every bus is equipped with AC. So we partnered up with one of our vendors, which is Rush Trucks. They actually came on site, and they did all the PMs on each bus. They did complete all 72 PMs. Some of the main components that were checked on each individual bus, as you can see, this is a very cheap or generic diagram of what the AC systems look like on all our buses. The majority of our buses, and I would say maybe 4 out of the 72 buses that we have do not have 3 units, but the majority of them have 3 air-conditioned units. If you look at the diagram, we have 3 blue boxes up on the ceiling. Those are the actual AC units, and it also has the dash unit on the front dashboard. They all have 2 condensers, 2 compressors, and the dryers, and I'm gonna try not to bore y'all with the technical stuff, but it's important that I point out that these are the components that have to be diagnosed, and we have to provide preventative maintenance every summer so that our buses can run comfortably, and our students can enjoy their ride to school and from to home also. So we did, like I said, we partnered up with Rush Trucks. They came here. They spent about 14 days at our department, and they diagnosed all our buses. One of the things that they also did was they checked all the lines, the high pressure lines for the units, and if there was any indication that the Freon, might have been some leaks, they did inject them with dye so that they are able to pinpoint where the leak was coming from. And once they made the appropriate repairs, they went ahead and charged every school bus with 4 pounds of Freon. Some of them 4 1/4, the ones that are a little bit older. And again, that's what the layout looks like. We spent $20,777 this summer on our AC preventative maintenance program. Again, our partnership goes back with 4 of our main vendors that work on our ACs. That's Rush Trucks, Freightliner, or Doggett, Andy's Air, Longhorn. And if you can If you noticed, most of the POs went to rush trucks because they were the ones that came on site and provided the diagnostics on all of our buses. Besides our AC preventative maintenance, something that we've been doing consistently for the past 3 years has ensuring that we're oil changing. Every single bus gets an oil change twice or 3 times a year. We do it 3 times a year for the country route buses because those buses do accumulate over 21,000, 25,000 miles a year. The city routes, they only get their oil change twice a year. We target 7,000 miles per year. So all of our buses did receive an oil change this summer. Another thing that we do is the brake systems. We do a thorough inspection on our brake systems. Our mechanics, they clean and they lube all of the brake systems. And what they found during the summer was that 33 of our 72 buses actually needed a new brake kit. So 33 buses received new brakes. Also, we partnered up with T&W Tires. They came on site and they did a complete assessment analysis on all the tires to our fleet. And their findings were that only 12 of the 72 buses actually needed new tires. So all those tires were ordered. Those 12 buses now have brand new tires. That was done over in June, July. But as far as everything else, the wear and tear on the tires, they're in good condition for our students to feel safe, whether they're riding home or to school. And lastly, one of the other big things that we do is we degrease all the engines to our 72 buses because it's important that our buses run well and run efficient. So we actually degrease the whole engine compartment and we make sure that they're running clean so that we can provide efficient transportation to all our students. Just a little bit of show and tell, because I know it's kind of hard to know what I'm talking about if you're not familiar with the mechanical stuff. But on this picture, if you notice, the picture on the left side is actually part of the brake system. You see some of the stabilizer, the control arm there. The picture on the left, it was actually taken the last day of school, right after school ended. The picture on the right is the picture that we took once our mechanics finished cleaning and lubing all the tires. So it practically looks new, but it's not new. It's just the work of our mechanics. They do an awesome job. I'm very proud of them because they work really hard. So I just want to show you all what goes into the amount of work that we do this summer. We're very meticulous and we take a lot of care of the work that we do because we want to make sure our students are always riding on safe school buses. So it's just a little bit of show and tell. Another thing that I want to show you, I have if you actually look at the bottle, this bottle right here is actually the old oil. This is what we took out in the summer, right before we started. If you actually beam the light through it, you can't see anything. So just so y'all can see, this is how dirty it is at 7,000 miles. This is a brand new oil that we put in. We do use Rotella, which is top quality oil. And you can actually see how it beams right through because it's clean. So that's all I have. I just want to say thank you for the opportunity and please know that safety is a top priority for Transportation Department. And the preventative maintenance will continue to guide us so that we are able to provide safe and efficient routes for our students. Thank you.
Let me ask you a question. On these buses, are some of the students bused? Do they use, do they bus the students to the football games with our school buses? Or we use the charter buses only?
That is entirely up to what is requested from the athletic department. Or whatever the campuses request, we're here to provide the services they request from us. So if they want us to transport, we do.
So they should be ready and in good shape?
Yes, ma'am. And I have actually extra information here. If you look on the screen, we have 28 buses that I approved. And these are the only buses that we're allowed to take on field trips because these are our newer models. They're all 2017 to 2020s. We have a big fleet. We actually have 54 regular buses, but out of those 54, only the ones in the fuchsia or lavender, whatever you want to call that color, 24 of those regular buses are the only ones allowed to go on trips out of town, even going to Harlingen. I only allow them to take the newer buses because, I mean, I feel that we represent the district, and the last thing we want to do is, be breaking down, getting stranded when we're in Wesco, McAllen, or wherever you are. But those are the buses that are approved for field trips, and our bus drivers, everybody knows that if they drive a new bus and that bus is needed for the day to go out of town, they'll take a spare bus. We do have some spare buses that are ready to go to replace them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Garcia, really quick, I just want to take this time to commend you on all your work, especially your staff. I know you don't do it alone, but thank you to your staff as well. You inherited this department, and with it came not many triumphs and tribulations at first. So I want to say thank you for transforming this department to what it is today, both in safety and the maintenance of our buses. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vargas. That's why I wanted to bring the show and tell, because I don't do the work myself. I mean, my team, they take a lot of pride. And like I said, they're very meticulous. They care about what they do, and they always do everything with the student end in mind. So thank you.
And semi-serious question, I'm starting to see more and more idea buses with air conditioners. Does that mean we have something to worry about if they're now providing air conditioning to their students?
No, I think our district is doing great, and we have a lot to offer, so I wouldn't worry about it.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Good evening.
Number 7, review and discussion of bids for RFC SP-0819-NEHSSL fake at high school and Sullivan Elementary.
Right, so we have 3 attachments here that we will go through, and if there are any technical questions, Mr. Rudy Gomez, our architect, is here. We'll be able to answer those. I'll give an overview, and then anything difficult related to construction, I'm hoping he can field. The first attachment you're going to see are the 5 bids that were returned for the facades, one at Sullivan, the second one at the high school. We bid them together for hopefully get an economy of scale. Since Sullivan was a small job, we figured the price per square foot would have been larger if we would have bid it separately. 7 contractors picked up bid packets, 5 returned them completed, and you see those for consideration there. Based on the reputation and work with all of them, we looked at the low bidder, is what we're recommending. And when you look at the cost, if you go to the 3rd attachment entitled Value Engineering, since reviewing these bids, we looked at some of the items in the high school and Sullivan that we felt like maybe were a little more than we needed. And then for the alarm system and the Johnson control system for HVAC, we think with us going directly for the vendors, if they just pre-wire it for us, that we can probably finish it more economically. We had initially anticipated about $900,000 to $950,000 for the high school work and the ballpark of $300,000 for Sullivan. So we figured about $1.2 million or $1.25 million. The low bid of 1.45 was a little bit over that, but in just a couple of days with Mr. Gomez working with Scoggins Construction, they easily identified there over $200,000, which would put us right on our anticipated budget. If you don't recall, or if I did not do a good job of sharing these last time, if you look at the second attachment entitled Floor Plans and Renderings, you will see what we hope our main entrance to look like at San Benito High School. The second slide there is an overview of the anticipated floor plan. So we will have a secure entry there with a waiting room. People will not be buzzed in by the receptionist until it's clear to do so, or they can wait there for their students to come out. A new lobby that will dress up quite a bit, and then if you go straight back from there, you go into the main hallway. The left-hand side, you see the offices for the higher ed program, and then the classroom or the computer lab where they can bring students in to their FAFSA applications, scholarships, and their common college application, and so forth. The next picture, you're going to see just a brief floor plan at Sullivan. This will connect the administration area to that hallway of classes there on the left-hand side, and it will change the whole look of that building. We will be able to redo our fencing. It will become a much more inviting campus. The waiting area, again, will be a secure area. The receptionist will be out in that area. Since we were adding it on, the principal asked for a conference room. 300 square feet, didn't add a whole lot to the project, so we were able to include that as well. And then you can see the last kind of rendering there. That's the new proposed look for the main entrance at Sullivan Environmental Science Academy. So no longer a disjointed look where there's one building for administration and a building off to the side. It'll be a very clean, connected look that I think will dress that building up considerably.
Just a little bit confused, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Back to the, let's go back one. I'm a little bit confused, Is this the high school or is this?
That is the high school.
So the receptionist, I'm sorry, I thought it was receptionist. The receptionist as you come in and the waiting room as you come in, instead of, which, going back one more, that's what it's gonna look like. So as you go into the high school,
Mhm.
on the left-hand side, you'll see the reception room where the parents, is where they wait.
No,
Or the waiting room is where,
The waiting room is where they will wait. They can't go through until they're buzzed through. And that reception area is where the receptionist will be, and she will call down if they're coming to pick up a student, for example, if they're dropping off lunch money, if they're dropping off clothes, if they're dropping. But we'll be able to contain it there, and that'll give us another safe entrance there. If someone tries to come into the building who shouldn't be, they would not get buzzed through. So that waiting area is where you'll stop, and if you look to the left there on reception, where there's that white rectangular area, that'll be the counter where they speak to the receptionist.
wow, it's a brand new basement.
Yes, ma'am. It'll add security, it'll dress it up quite a bit. It gives some room for a higher ed department that we think we need. And then once you get through into that main lobby, it'll be dressed up a bit and give the building a whole new look.
My only question is on number 13s and 14s on the value engineering slide on delete all special systems at Sullivan and high school, including fire, intrusion, intercom. Can you, I mean, that sounds a little,
Instead of paying the contractor to sub it out to, we use sole source, we use Johnson Controls for HVAC, we use the same one vendor for all of our alarms. We believe if we go directly with them, we will get a better price than Scoggins or any other contractor gets, and we won't pay that markup. So we'll do it directly. They'll pre-wire it, the wiring will be there, but we'll work directly with our alarm company and directly with our HVAC control people to come in and actually install the hardware and connect everything and make sure it's running well.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Gomez, did I forget a whole lot?
No, I think you covered everything.
Is that most of it?
One thing is, we did meet with the city, the building inspector, and went through all the plans, they were in agreement with everything. We're ready. Thank you.
Okay. Going back to agenda item, okay, agenda item. Okay, going back to number 2, Mr. Palacios, the CMARS RFQ-ACPAC-08 from company presentation regarding the Performance Arts Center and Aquatic Center. Who's going to keep the time?
We do have Ms. Warren doing that.
I want to verify on that, okay?
And just to recap, we did have 6 submittals on the CMAR for both the PAC and the natatorium. We're following the similar format as in the past, alphabetical. We did inform all firms of their interview. All have confirmed participation, and we do have them out in the lobby right now. We'll be starting with Davila Construction. They're set to be first. We'll go ahead and bring them in.
Este pedo ya no. Mr. Carmen, one more. Esta compañía nomás, ya no. En la de los closing the companies. ¿Eh?
So there is,
Ah, la chingada. De Westlaco one.
which
Dávila, este papelito. Yes, sir. This company.
On the right?
The one
We're
that's
gonna
doing,
try this just to make sure we know what we're doing. Okay, we got it.
the one that's doing the shows.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Tommy Canul. I'm project executive for Davila Construction. Also present is Albert Cardenas. He is a managing partner for Rio Grande Valley and South Texas operations. Tony Vargas, our senior project manager, and Armando Aguilar, who is one of our project managers. Just a little bit about who we are. Davila Construction has been in the construction industry for over 66 years. We have provided services in a variety of fashions, whether it be conventional, CMAR, design build, to a multitude of governmental entities, private sector, and public school districts. We are proud to tell you that in its existence of over 66 years, we have never been sued by anybody. That is something that probably only a handful of people can say that. And if I would have to call it a gold standard, I would. As far as the team that's before you, we bring to you experience that exceeds 25 years at this point, and in excess of $750 million of management and construction projects. Offices that we currently have are located in McAllen, San Antonio, Corpus, Laredo, and Panama City, Panama. And to share with you a little bit about our commitment to the local community and to San Benito School District, we have two basic things that we'd like to accomplish, and that is, number one, increase the participation of subcontractors, specifically subcontractors and suppliers from the local community that would normally not want to participate in a project or projects that are of this complexity and this magnitude. The other thing we'd like to accomplish is to make sure that we can spend as much of your 2018 bond money in this area. Experience that we have with your project team, ROFA and the Warren Group Architects. We're currently engaged with both of them in other capacities. We are CMAR on some projects that Ms. Warren has designed. We are entering into a contract with Texas Southmost College with ROFA Architects on a design build services contract at the iTech campus, which is the old Amigo Land Mall building. And some of our current projects include the Bishop CISD Baseball and Softball Complex, Roma ISD, which is a CMAR project on 3 other campuses, one of them being the Performing Arts, and then a middle school and an elementary school. I mentioned the design build project for the iTech campus for Texas Southmost in Brownsville, Arturo Galvan Coastal Park in Port Isabel, and we are near completion with the Museum and Science and History improvements for the city of Corpus Christi. Our largest local CMAR contract to date is with the city of FAR, a variety of projects in the neighborhood of 17 million. It might actually exceed that slightly when we're done, just because of some additions to the work. To highlight a few of these and some of the opportunities that we take advantage of in terms of cost savings, Bishop CISD, when we initially bid this project, we bid it at $5.6 million. After value engineering, about 2 weeks later, we were able to come back to the school district with a reduced cost of $4.2 million. The only thing that in essence was modified is we reduced the size of the parking lot. There were some other improvements along the way, but not discernible unless you were intimately involved in the project. The cost savings to the district was $1.4 million. And then we're currently the construction manager for the UTRGV PSJ natatorium. At $24 million, when this project is completed, it is going to be the premier aquatic facility south of San Antonio. And we will be able to host, I think, something that the entire valley will be proud to say, that we will be hosting Division I competition.
Was Ms. Warren the architect?
Yes, I apologize for not mentioning you in that. And our largest CMAR project to date, San Pedro Creek, which is an extension to the north of the San Antonio Riverwalk. Phase 1, which is $198 million. Phase 2, which is currently under construction at $96 million. a few pictures of some of the completed portions of this project. Okay. I would like to add to you that I personally bring to this table involvement in 3 local natatoriums and performing arts facilities: Margaret Aquatic Center in Brownsville, the Los Fresnos Natatorium, and the La Jolla Natatorium.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ask them some questions?
I have a
Okay.
question real quickly.
A question also.
Okay, or each one of you, are you all present specialized in this project? All of you? Y'all?
Yes, we'll actually all be a part of the team. If I had to specifically say who are your primary contacts, it would be myself and Mr. Watkins. You would see us from day one on whatever's involved in the project.
Great, thank you.
Have you, how many buildings have you built in reference to the arts facilities?
Arts facilities,
I know, I saw some buildings, pretty good size, and saw some pictures, but I'm just curious.
okay, well, the one that I was specifically involved in, management, was the La Jolla Performing Arts Facility. That's been around now for about 10 years. I want to say that I remember its cost to be in about the neighborhood of about a $9 million facility. We're fixing to, or we're starting in the CMAR process, working on exactly what the improvements need to be done over at the Roma CISD Performing Arts Center. And then a number of other renovations, even with local school districts, just some of their performing arts facilities.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question. I'm curious, what do you believe sets your firm apart from other construction firms?
Well, I think the knowledge that we bring to the table, and I want to be specific without trying to, I don't want to call this gloating about anything, but I guess I'm at the point in my life that I get to reflect on my experience and say, you know what, I do have some value. And that is that my background actually was in designing facilities. I could go up and down the valley, probably except for San Benito and maybe La Feria, and say I was involved in designing schools up and down the valley. 10 years ago or so, I transitioned into construction. And so when it comes to this type of project, CMAR in particular, design build in particular, I'm in a position to understand, because from day one, we have to sit down with your design team, and we have to be able to understand their language. And I have 20 years plus experience of their language. And so I get to absorb it differently and get to comment on it differently than I think even the rest of our team. But then we bring along the expertise of our senior project manager in terms of being able to put cost to things. I think we generally put together a better team than anybody to get you within your budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. I think it's pretty remarkable that you haven't been sued, I think, in your existence, but I don't think you arrived there by accident. Can you explain to us, as non-architects and non-engineers, how somebody like that would be successful in all of their projects? Because, I mean, we've dealt with construction defects and whatnot. We're going through litigation right now, and that's been a continuous thing for our district. And so how are you, as the CMAR or construction managers, able to achieve that?
Well, again, partly the architectural background and partly understanding the intent of the construction documents that architects and engineers prepare affords us to try and avoid some of the pitfalls that you run into down the line. I'll give you an example. What we believe we ought to do with this project, because of their complexity, is we should use what's known as BIM. Now, whether that is a consultant that we bring on board under our contract to help us analyze documents, it may cost us a small fraction as compared to the potential change orders that you could see, because invariably a system, whether it be a structural system or a mechanical system, might conflict with something. And some of those systems get real expensive. But the process of analyzing buildings through BIM afford you the opportunity to avoid
Is
that.
BIM an acronym for BIM?
Yes, BIM.
What does that stand for?
Building information.
Management. So it's a compilation of mechanical, electrical, all the systems and how they interact with each other to make sure that everything's gonna fit where it's supposed to fit.
Awesome.
Try to catch that potentially before, and it's a coordination between the disciplines, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, architectural, civil maybe, and everybody's involved.
Great.
What I would add to that is insofar as not being involved in litigation in that amount of time, I think is a testament to the level of detail that we like to put on things. Case in point, San Antonio, we have completed over 200 job order contracts successfully without any negative impacts.
I got a question, sir. As far as your success, there's no doubt about that. That speaks volumes and speaks for itself. But, sitting here and going through this whole process for us, I think there's timelines that need to be met. So as far as your natatoriums and your fine art and your performing art facility, how many of them have you actually met the schedule and actually been under budget? If you can quantify that for me, please.
How many? Well, the ones that I've been involved in have been on time. These facilities tend to have the possibility of improvements to the contract once you get into them. They get very complex when you get into, for example, the performing arts, and you understand the sound systems that have to go into them for it to function and the lighting systems. And if they're not quite what you need them to be, you're going to have to afford something that's invariable. But having the right consultants designing those systems is very key to letting us have the opportunity to finish it on time.
I think starting phases also, if we're able to, usually in these kind of projects, your civil plans are done first, so we can bid it out, a phase one project, bid that out, and then wait for the vertical plans to get ready. That way we're ahead of schedule. We're always working. I think y'all did a good job by hiring a project manager early on to bring us or whoever you choose on. That speaks volumes about you all, because that's what it's gonna take to get this thing going.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Good luck.
We wore the purple, we could go, be part of the team.
There you go.
Thank you.
It's a gold standard.
Next one on the list will be your D. Wilson Construction.
You get everyone?
No, he
No,
did
sir.
not.
I'm certified CPR, and don't worry about it.
I don't need CPR.
I've got some more.
Sisters, la regacha.
Okay, we're ready. Well, we appreciate the opportunity to be here today and present our qualifications for your bond program. I like to say some people may look good in purple. I kind of feel like we're the gold standard, though. We're the gold standard here. So, my name's Josué Reyes, CEO for D. Wilson. I'll let my team introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Fred Lopez. I'm the project estimator.
I'm Antonio, I'll be the project manager.
I'm Salvador Lopez, superintendent.
Good evening, I'm David Hill, I'll be the aquatic center superintendent.
Okay, and Bill would have loved to have been here, but he got a stomach bug over the weekend, so he couldn't make it. There's a few things that I want to cover in this short time frame. First is our experience with your team. Second, I want to talk about our CMR process. And thirdly, talk about our experience with the type of facilities that you guys are going to be building. And we'll start with the team experience. Ramon?
So we've got over 20 years of experience, good working experience with the Rollup Architects. 6 of the projects that we've done recently total up to $58 million in total. One of the ones that I did get to do recently was the Health Profession High School with Frank Ogden. And the others there is the Valley View Performing Arts Facility, Valley View Ninth Grade Campus, Sacred Heart Church Edinburgh renovations, Farias Elementary School at PSJA, and the PSJA High School Science Lab classroom additions. Our experience with the Bryant Group, which I also had the pleasure to deal with Mr. Joseph Palacios. We just completed Santa Maria New High School, which I think some of y'all were able to tour that. We did finish it on time, within budget. In fact, we gave them a savings of $215,000. And in fact, they're hired us to do some additional renovation upgrade work at their existing buildings. But it's been a good working experience with Mr. Palacios and the Bryant Group.
Thanks, Ramon. Next, Fred's going to touch a little bit about our CMR process.
Hello. We've been very successful with the CMR method delivery. We have a lot of successful projects through the CMR process, and some of our clients that we've had the pleasure of working with have been South Texas College, TSTC Harlingen, Santa Maria, Brownsville PUB. Those are just some of the successful projects that we've done. We've listed a few of the key elements that we feel are key elements to run a successful CMR project. And the first one, partnering and collaboration, entails the communications between all the groups involved. It's very important to communicate with the owners, the design team, and the construction manager, and then it'll trickle down to the subcontractors and what have you. Having clear goals and accountability, that entails understanding really the scope of work, understanding what the owner requirements are, what you guys are really expecting out of this project, and function-wise and design-wise. So the other thing would be meaningful, clear goals, understanding the scope of work would be for the clear goals, and accountability would be understanding the scope of work. And if you have good lines of communication, you're going to understand the scope of work, and you're going to have a better understanding of the cost on it. So then you come up with a more accurate estimate when you understand all that. Meaningful subcontractor input and historical data. What that means is that we can't just plug in a number for structural steel. You have to plug in a number that is accurate and that is up to date and that is relevant to the project that you're looking at. You can't just get input from any subcontractor. You need to get a subcontractor that has the experience for that project or very similar project so that you can come up with an accurate cost and make it a successful project. If we do all that, we'll be able to come up with a project on time and within budget.
All right, thanks, Fred. There's a few more I want to get through real quick. Here's some of our natatorium experience. So what you'll see here is comparisons of cost per square foot, what the major cost drivers are, the pool costs for those type of facilities. David here actually built the Los Fresnos indoor practice facility, which looks a lot like what you have in your bond program, is what you possibly may be looking at in the future. But that's the historical information that we're able to bring. Looking at performing arts, here are some of the performing arts facilities that we've done throughout the years. There again, we're able to give you some real-time cost per square foot for certain capacities for performing arts facilities. And what's important to know with these is that they're very unique buildings. This is the last one I want to show you. This is one that I did in 2009. So for me, this is the gold standard in performing arts facilities, the Arts Center for Texas Southmost College. 800-seat capacity, 2 research facilities, and it's a great project. But my time's up, unfortunately. We were trying to get through it as much as we could in 5 minutes. But with our time up, that's really the last portion of the presentation regarding our experience with the 2 facility types.
Thank you. Question, Sonia?
Okay, I have a question on, are you all the ones building there on Los Fresnos, on the main going to the island? There's a...
New City Hall.
The new City Hall, yes. So y'all are doing that? Yes, ma'am. Okay, because, during the summer, we have a RV at the island at Isla Blanca Park, and we would drive through there, And there was a lot of times that we would see nobody working, and I would always ask my husband, when are they gonna finish that? When is there, and I wouldn't see anybody there doing anything on, any jobs or anything on
Yeah.
that. It was just sitting there.
Yeah, so that facility in particular, we probably went through 3 different framers. In those type of stick-built facilities, you have 2 classes of framers, residential and commercial. And the commercial framers are hard to come by, especially in places like Los Fresnos. So we actually ended up having to go through 3 different framers trying to get them to advance the project forward. But there again, we saw an issue, had to make the adjustment. Saw an issue with capacity and people wanting to be or work in Los Fresnos, and so there again, we had to make an adjustment. So we were on our 3rd framer, just because we recognized the exact same thing you were talking about. At the end of the day, we'll deliver the facility on time, but it's noticeable, and it's something we certainly had to address.
Yeah, because we would pass through there since April, and it was April, May, June, July, August, and it was still,
Is it
hasn't been,
finished
no.
already?
Yeah, and, I'm sorry.
Is the building completed already?
I'm sorry?
Is the building completed already, though?
The one that
In
I
Los
was
Fresnos?
questioning.
In Los Fresnos?
Yes, the
It was the
project,
city hall. Was it city hall?
it's a city hall. Yeah.
Did y'all do is the city hall and
The
the
fire station?
department and?
No, just the city hall. The
Oh,
fire department
okay.
was actually done by, they actually did that in-house with city resources.
Well, that was a beautiful building,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, gorgeous. And I'm sure the next one is gonna be the one you're working on.
Mm-hmm.
So how many performing art facilities have you all done altogether now?
So we showed you 3 that.
3?
That,
Okay.
that were there. Most all of those are associated with K-12 facilities.
Okay. And swimming pools?
Swimming pools, we showed you 3 there, La Jolla Natatorium, we had the Los Fresnos indoor facility, practice facility as well,
Okay.
or the indoor aquatic
3
center.
and 3.
And then we also, the later dated one that was actually for UT Pan American.
Mr. Reyes, with respect to performing arts facilities and/or natatoriums, you asked how many, but what's your guarantee that they will come on schedule and under budget? I know you gave us the Santa Maria example, but there are examples where you have not come on schedule and under budget, and what kind of, how were you proactive in making sure that the district wasn't hurt as a result?
The buildings are very unique. So it's not just stick and brick. You actually have to plan for the acoustics, the technology, there's a lot of intangible things that go into the buildings that if you just look at it at face value, you'll never capture in the budget. So that's the benefit of having us that have been able to perform some of these, is that we're able to make sure early on that what we're drawing is accounted for within the budget. You have others that, other contractors that have done that are exactly that, over budget, and they run an extensive amount of delays in trying to get them executed. But they are very unique in nature. They take a different level of detail and a different level of expertise to make sure that you capture everything in the budget and that you have everything accounted for in the schedules and the logistics to make sure they come out well.
I think your rooms at Santa Maria are pretty big. They're nice compared, they're not regular rooms, they're a little, kind of what I saw in Austin, where they use it for lecture and then they use it to do whatever they practice. So they're pretty nice. I saw that.
Thank you.
In your introduction earlier, I think I wrote this, I'm not too sure, Santa Maria High School? Did you mention, I think it was that gentleman there, did you mention that you did save some money?
Yes, we
did?
returned back to them 215,000.
215,000?
Yes.
Wow. Are you going to do that for us?
Well, hopefully, if we get awarded the project, yes.
Okay, thank you so much.
That's it.
If I can expand on that one too?
Sure.
So the accuracy of the budget's important. Like I said, there's probably some things that are different than a normal school facility. So the process you're going through right now to get a contractor on board with your design team will be very, very fruitful for you. So what we can do is try to capture as much of the scope day one. So we would love to save you money, but we want to give you as much square footage as we can. So on several of these projects where we realize that there's an opportunity for savings, we usually turn that over early in the project so that we can figure out, okay, is there a betterment that you guys maybe had on a lower priority that we can go ahead and purchase now and put back into the building. So this process really helps identify those opportunities and give them back to the district in the earliest manner possible, so that you guys can take advantage of the savings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was that it?
Thank you.
No.
We're good.
Would I be able to ask one? Do I still have?
You still have time, but you have 5 minutes.
I don't think we have any more questions.
Okay, you good?
Yep,
Okay.
thank you.
Well,
He's not allowed to, but for 5 minutes.
that's okay.
Yeah, he has 4 minutes.
Yeah, but those are our 4 minutes. The new chingas.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time today and for your consideration of this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll be the one timing you. When you have 1 minute left, I'll tell you. But I'll be sure. 10 minutes.
And the,
You have your clicker and then you just
this switches this, okay.
just. You ready?
Good evening. Okay, all right, okay. Yes. Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. I really appreciate it. Again, my name is Gilbert Enriquez. I'm the president of Econ. My brother Jaime Enriquez, he's our engineer in the family. So as we discussed earlier, or our last interview, we're a family-owned business. We have 10 years of experience in general construction under Econ. We're located in Edinburgh, and we're family-owned. We started our company as a subcontractor. We did drywall, ceiling, pretty much all the finished work within a building, within a project. And as we grew as subcontractors, you know, we're one of the largest drywall firms here in the Valley. It was only prudent for us to get to that next level, move to that next step, and so we became general contractors. So we've been general contractors since 1996. Under Econ, we've been contractors for 10 years. With the family, we all have over 20 years experience in the industry. My dad is still involved, not as much. He's semi-retired, but he does go to the job sites once in a while, and just to keep that blood flowing, he yells at the guys a couple of times, a day. So he's still involved, and we're happy to have him. Our CM experience is SCC Technology Campus. As we discussed before, this was a 60,000 square foot facility. The cost savings that we saved STC was $2 million. We originally had a $10 million budget, and we're able to come down to $8 million when we went out for bids. Our GMP was $10 million, but during the buyout, we were able to save STC $2 million. They were able to use those funds for other projects within the bond program that they had passed, the bond issue that they passed. So that was a very good project for them. Roma Elementary, number 7, this was a 77,000 square foot facility. We also saved the school district $200,000 from the GMP. This was a project that was located on a hill, so there was a lot of excavation that we had to do, a lot of removing, hauling off of dirt and bringing in select fill. So this was a very challenging project because it was a limited budget. Mission High School renovations, it was a new and renovated buildings. We demoed In the first phase, or the second phase, we demoed a few of their existing buildings to make room, bless you, to make room for the new buildings that they designed. And we also saved them $1,160,000 of cost savings that we returned to them. This was something that that they were able to use that money for other projects that they have. They're going to build a new administration building, so they're able to use that money, transfer it over to their new administration building. So they were very pleased with the cost savings there. Again, my name is Gilbert Enriquez. I'm the president. I'm also the project administrator. I have an accounting degree from UTPA. Now it's UTRGV. I have 22 years of construction experience. My brother Jaime, who's a professional civil engineer, he's our project engineer for our firm. He has a BS in civil engineering from Texas A&I, now Texas A&M, Kingsville. He has 35 years of experience. Our personnel that we'll have on the project, we have Juan Hernandez, who's our project manager, 13 years of experience. He'll be the project manager. If we're selected, he'd be the project manager for both projects. And we would have Jared Neck, who would be his assistant project manager for both projects. He has 2 years of construction experience. He interned with us during the time that he was going to school. He graduated this May, and he came on board. He has a BS, Bachelor of Science in Construction Management from the University of Texas at Tyler. Simon Alonso is our quality control manager. He handles all the quality control in all our projects. So he goes out there, he does an inspection of the quality of each subcontractor, puts it on a working document that is every month updated and sent to the subcontractors so they can come in. So we don't have a big punch list at the end. Yes, okay, 5 minutes goes by quick. Okay, so is there any questions? I know I didn't get to finish last time either, so any questions from
I
anyone?
have a question.
Yes.
What do you believe sets your firm apart from the other construction firms?
Well, one is we're family owned. You'll always have an Enriquez there at every meeting, every board meeting, every facilities meeting. Whenever we're having discussions with either the design team, the project management team, or the owner, one of us will be there. You will always have a decision maker at those meetings. There'll never be I have to take it to my boss, or the decisions will be made. If we have to make a decision at that point, we will make that decision. So that's one of the things that I think we are different from all the other firms here, is that you will always have an Enriquez at every meeting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I got a question.
Currently, are you building anything?
Yes, currently we're building a Texas tropical behavioral health in Edinburgh. We're renovating an old building and we're converting it into their administration building. That's about a $6 million project. And we're also currently doing 2 indoor pools with PSJ ISD. They're at their high schools at each campus. It's at PSJ Bears. They'll have an indoor pool, and then also at PSJ Memorial. And that's roughly $10 million, $5 million each. It's $11.8 million to be exact. And so they're identical floor plans at each campus. And we also were awarded a project in Brownsville. We haven't signed the agreement yet, executed the agreement, but we believe in the next couple of weeks we'll have a project with Texas Tropical. They awarded us another project based on our experience that we had with them in Edinburgh. They liked the way we conduct business, so they gave us another opportunity to do work with them in Brownsville.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I saw a name here, John Hernandez. Is he from San Benito, or is he from, because I know there was some Hernandez that built our home, and I don't know, his dad was a construction.
No, you mean our employee?
Yes.
No, he's from Westaco.
From
He's from
Westaco.
Westaco, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I was just wondering, because his dad built our home, and, did an awesome job, so I thought maybe it was
okay.
the same Hernandez.
No, he's from Westaco.
From
Yes,
Westlake.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
So I got a quick question for you.
Yes.
How many auditorium facilities have you constructed? How many of them were on schedule? And how many of them were under budget?
How many are long-term?
Yes, sir.
Mission High School was actually a 2-year project, just because of the logistics of it. And we had to demo, and then we had to build up, and they were still utilizing the campus. So we had students that we had to, reroute for one day or 1 week. We had to route them this way. Another week we had to route them. So the logistics was very difficult. But with our working relationship with the school district, because we had done 5 other projects with the school district prior to that, so our relationship with them and with the architect really helped with the logistics of that. That was our only project that we were 15 days over than what our substantial completion was, and it was probably due to a lot of factors. It could have been weather, it could have been material delays or change orders. One of the things that I would always have discussions with the administration was that whenever there was a change order or not a change order, but a deduct from the contingency fund, they would always have to go to the board during the regular board meetings to get it approved. And so that was every 2 weeks. So we have to wait every 2 weeks before it would go before the board for approval. So that kind of really bottlenecked our construction schedule a little bit. But that was how they conducted their business, and we were able to adapt. So that was the only project that we've been 15 days over. All the other projects we've been on time or better.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Any other questions? No other questions? All right, great.
Good, thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Start? Yes. You guys ready?
Yeah. All right.
Good evening, and thank you all very much. My name is Paul Lindsay. I'm a senior project manager from Miami, Texas. I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Mr. Lindsay, can you use the mic, please? We have this recording.
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. I want to thank you all for giving us the opportunity to be with you this evening, to give us the opportunity to explain to you why we think Morgani is the right contractor to build these projects for you. Before I get started on a brief presentation, I'd like to introduce the staff that we brought with us to answer your questions. Robert.
Robert Gonzalez, the project manager.
Right, and I'm Frank Aguilar, I'm the lead superintendent from Morganti.
Eddie Pettis, field superintendent. All right, thank you guys very much. As you can see by this slide, I don't know if you can see it or not, but Morgani has a rather vast portfolio of different types of projects.
Specifically, $2.4 billion in K through 12 projects, over 50 aquatic projects, and 100 performing art projects. What we would like to add to this, though, is there's a good portion of those projects, if you look at the dates of completion, that have been done within the last 5 years. So along with a big portfolio, the experience is relatively recent. Morgani project goals for this particular project, as we've looked at it, is be responsible stewards of the funds available for the project. We know that's important to every customer, but it's important to public school entities, and we understand that. Keep the best interests of the San Benito Consolidated ISD and this project in mind. Foster an enjoyable and collaborative experience. Be proactive and eliminate challenges during design and through construction. Provide economy of scale and efficient construction services for the SBC ISD. Expedite mobilization and the overall project schedule. Safety and security of construction personnel, staff, visitors, and the surrounding community is paramount. Efficiencies and economies of scale include reduced general conditions costs, right-sizing our project team, utilize the same personnel on both projects to streamline communication and consistency, and provide budget savings to the SBC ISD. Ability to be flexible with our personnel to ensure the necessary levels of service and performance are met while also eliminating redundancy of staff and overhead. Beneficial subcontractor pricing. We will actively pursue efficiency and economy if they can be utilized on both projects based on the scope of work. Develop early site and foundation packages for both projects, which allows the projects to get started quicker. Potential reduction in CMR fee based off the fact if we get both projects and they start at the same time. Potential reduction in temporary utility costs, permits and permitting duration. Benefit to inspection scheduling, coordination, third-party inspections. Critical elements and strategies that we've looked at. Key design and construction aspects. A high level of quality and craftsmanship with special attention to equipment, audiovisual, aesthetics, acoustics, and lighting. Performance of building systems to ensure they are well coordinated and properly functioning. Early coordination with utility providers for permanent service availability. Delivery of mechanical and electrical equipment, building dry-in, and conditioned air to allow for finishes to be installed. High level of detail to schedule delivery of materials to make the best use of space available for the project. Utilization of just-in-time delivery procedures. Little to no downtime between work activities by eliminating lost time waiting for material. Utilizing and engaging the RGV community through subcontracting, labor, and construction materials. Availability to expedite work, quick mobilization packages, achieve quick buyout, enhance attractiveness to potential subcontractors. Why Morganti? Again, over 100 years of experience with 30 years in Texas alone. Our staff works hand in hand with our clients to deliver construction expertise and eliminate roadblocks. Before I get that, I'd like to see if I can turn over to Robert to give you a little bit of the Morgani, what happens here locally, and the RGV culture. Okay, sorry. We'll take your questions, please.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsay. The first one is just based on the extensive work with performing arts centers and/or natatoriums. What is your guarantee about being on schedule and being under budget? And can you give us an example of when that was not the case and how you ameliorated the situation?
We work hand in hand.
Mr. Allen, can you use the mic, please? Sorry, we're
We work hand in hand with the design team from day one to make sure that the budget's met. As soon as the SD designs and the schematic, once the schematic designs and then the design development drawings are finished, we work out our budget, make sure everything's working, that it's still falling in the budget parameters that you have set. And if it's not, we're already working with our subcontractors at that time for value engineering costs, savings, anything that we can come up with to make sure that we meet that budget from day one and keep it all the way through.
Thank you.
Can you go back to the first slide of your presentation, please?
Sure. I think I can.
Right there, right there. No, right
Yes,
there.
ma'am.
Okay, these are all facilities you all have built.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct. And as I
It's
mentioned,
very
a good,
impressive, very impressive.
and as I mentioned,
know
a
that.
good fair number of those are recent within the last 5 years. So along with the vast amount of work, right, $2.4 billion is an awful lot of work. But within the last 5 years, we've probably done 15, 20 of K through 12 projects. That's a lot.
Being that you're from, I'm sorry, were you done, honey?
No, I was just gonna, I say the same thing.
Yeah,
I'm very impressed.
I'm very impressed with that. I'm very impressed with the aquatic, with your performing arts. This afternoon, before I came over here, I was going over your book, and I noticed that all of them are from San Antonio. Everything's San Antonio, Beaumont, around the Houston area, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, did you mention something about building any of these facilities here in the valley?
Well,
If I did, I
know
can't
that
remember.
our presence here in the valley is relatively new, so we're expanding our footprint here locally. It's part of why we want to go for this particular project. We have a vast experience. We have a team of qualified project management and superintendents, project engineers, assistant project managers who've done various projects like this before in the past in other areas, or maybe with other companies. We want to bring that to us here, to you, the valley, under our brand, with the way we would do business.
The little cap and gowns, the characters, does that represent schools or
Yes, ma'am.
all schools, nothing but schools?
K through 12.
K through 12.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
then, so at the same time that you were doing the schools in San Antonio ISD, you were also doing the performing arts in the same town or?
The same project, typically.
Oh.
Typically, same project. So let's say, as an example, right now, we have a $60 million high school that we're building. It's a K through 12 high school. It also has a theater performing arts, that's right, within the high school. And then it also has an auditorium, right? And so there are multiple facets and multiple ways that those items kind of get brought into the construction process. Right.
Very impressive, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Very.
Sir, I got a question, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
As far as, so you said your presence here in the valley is fairly new, so how many performing arts or auditoriums have you done here in the valley?
None here in the valley. Like I said, our footprint here is relatively new. It's part of why we want to go after projects like this. We know we have the staff that can do it. We have staff here who are from here. In fact, let me go ahead and let Robert kind of expound on that, if I may, please, because he's from here. I think he can help to.
I was one of the superintendents that did the La Jolla High School.
Okay.
Performing art with you.
Okay. That's one of my concerns. If you're going to, being from out of town is great and good, right? But you have your footprints already set in Houston, but here in the valley, it's a different area. Your relationships are not there. So I want to guarantee that you're going to be on time and you're going to save us money. So that's a big component as far as my thought process.
If we are local, so that,
Okay.
we can about everything here.
You all are from the valley?
Yes,
So yeah, if I may, so I'm local, born and raised in McAllen. Frank's from Edinburgh,
I'm from Rio Grande.
Rio Grande. We're all local people. I've worked with two of the biggest contractors here in the valley. I've just been lucky enough to hire on with Morganti at the courthouse. So
The wellness center, the health center, where you keep animals, and the medical building and swimming pool also.
I don't want to stay too far behind, but I was the lead superintendent for Texas A&M University in McAllen. That also was kind of had the same cap and gown and the auditorium at the same time, so I got a little bit of, experience for higher ed.
And we are doing the courthouse right now.
Okay, that's, okay.
We're doing the courthouse.
We have no issues. We have no issues with the subcontractor base. That's one thing that's great about Morganti. Other out-of-town companies come and they have no presence here. They did it right. Morganti did it right this time around because they hired local people. They knew the subcontractor base. I've known many people. You're going to get the best value from, as with us, with any other contractor, because of our local knowledge.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Just one comment on what they just said. The Houston office will only be a support staff for these gentlemen. All of this will be run out of our office out of in Edinburgh. Yeah, so my role here is just support. If you need help, I'm here. Let me know what I need to do on my end in Houston. Same way with Paul in San Antonio. You know, we're a large firm, but we've got a small town, small company atmosphere. I just wanted to throw that in. No problem.
Thank you, guys. Thank you all so much. Thank you all.
Yes, sir. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to start by thanking the board for giving us this opportunity to present to you this evening. My name is Marcy Solano. I've been with NM Contracting for about 6.5 years now, and I am the office project manager. It is with my great pleasure to introduce to you our team. To my left, we have Chris Lopez. He has an engineering degree, and he has 20 years experience in the industry. Jose Rios is one of our project managers. He has, excuse me, a master's in architecture and 9 years experience in the industry. Andrew Munoz, to my right, he has a OSHA 30 certification with 11 years experience in the industry. NM has been proudly serving the Rio Grande Valley for 22 years now under the ownership of Noel Munoz. And I believe our longevity speaks volumes for our stability, and we are passionate about what we do each day, and we care about the growth and development of our community. And with that being said, I'm going to give it to Chris Lopez. Thank you.
Good evening. Real quick, I know we're winding down on time. I wanted to give you guys 2 reasons to select NM Contracting. The first, obviously, being that the time seems to be perfect. We're winding down several large projects. We've got the team, we've got the time, we've got the bonding, and it seems as though things are lining up such that we can take this on, and it's perfect, ideally. So one is the time. The other one is I want you all to know that we understand what it is you're trying to do here for the school and the community. We get that these projects are few and far in between. They're hallmark projects, keystone projects, things that people will experience, a lot of memories. You could say thousands and thousands and thousands of students and adults and parents and people within the community will experience memories, and they'll talk a lifetime about it. You know, challenges that they undertook, things they didn't think they could do, things they overcame, things they saw, things, to everybody. Projects like that don't come along
very often. They are few and far in between. We would be honored, we'd be proud to be here to build these two for you guys. We see the hard work you're doing for the community, and we just want to be a part of it. You know, we would ask that you all would seriously consider NM contracting to do the CMAR for these. That's it. And we finish ahead of schedule.
Good job, good job. How many projects are you working on so far? Any project?
Well, we've got essentially about 15 projects that are underway right now. We're winding down essentially about 7 of them. I'd say about 3 of those are fairly large scale, up over, $4 or $5 million.
Like, for example, which cities?
We did
in the valley?
what is it, a $6.5 million expansion for Hargill Elementary.
Harville?
Yes, ma'am. Help me out here. The Westlaco Band Hall, $3.9 million.
0.9 million?
There's other ones. I didn't come prepared with specifics for that, but we could provide those for you guys. Mhm.
Oh, here. Okay, there you go. Okay, Annenberg, Westlaco.
I guess it should go without saying, Jose was involved in a $45 million CMAR project at the McAllen Performing Arts Center. It's a small project. I did one for the Army Corps of Engineers, which was in Falcon Dam, a blast-proof facility. It was a CMAR project as well. So we're experienced to a certain extent with a CMAR, and we feel perfectly fine taking these on. You know, we feel we're ready. We feel you guys, could benefit from that, and we'd be honored.
That weight, I think it's a weight room there, right? Where is that at? What is it? Is it a? Is it at a high school? At a high school, or is it at?
Look right there.
Way down. There you go. Sorry. There you go. There you go. Okay. Okay.
On the right.
The gym. Okay.
The Austin Gym in Edinburgh.
Mr. Migos, dovetailing her question of the number of facilities, how many have you constructed that were on schedule and under budget? And can you give us an example of one time where it was not and what you did to ameliorate the situation to make sure the district wasn't hurt?
Well, obviously, we aren't immune to adverse situations that do come across. One good case in point would be the Hargill one. It is somewhat remote, pretty far out. It's very difficult to get subcontractors out there. Sometimes materials arrive that aren't accurate and what you would really need. But you make special provisions. You work through the weekends. You work through the evening hours. You get additional forces out there. You make do the best with what you've got. We did finish that one, believe it or not, a month ahead of schedule. There was other governing timelines that we wanted to finish. We want to get the kids in there before school started. Although we had more contract time, we didn't take the liberty of it. We wanted to make sure that we fulfilled with a more abstract commitment to the board.
Again,
Thank
which
you.
is your biggest project? Which was your biggest project?
Our biggest project, well, I guess you could say it's the elementary. What else am I missing here, guys?
Okay.
Do we have another one that's over $6.5 million? It'd be there. I know that we've got a few coming down the pipeline, that if they pan out, they'll be upwards to that. But they're not under contract yet.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Number 8, committee concern, you can address this? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, that concludes all interviews.
Okay.
The only firm that did not present was Holchamont. They did advise us they were delayed from getting here. I spoke to Michael earlier. He just felt that his RFQ would speak for itself, so he will not be joining us for a formal interview, but still wants to be considered. So at that point, those are all firms.
Thank you. Okay, number 8, committee concerns. Mr. Carmen?
Yes, and one item I want to bring to the committee's attention is on the potential use of the Joe Calandret School. This board, a year and a half ago or so, we pulled PRC out of that area. We discussed the possibility of working with the Historical Society and allowing them to put some kind of a museum in there, paying homage to the history of that school, as I think the first African-American school in the Rio Grande Valley. Met with the Historical Society a couple of times, and they are very interested in taking that project on. We discussed doing a $1 lease kind of a thing between us and the Historical Society. In speaking with Mr. Torres, and I'll let him elaborate as to the specifics, but I'm of the understanding that since they are not a municipality or another governmental entity, that we cannot have that type of a lease with them. But I think we can consider a lease that would be a $1 lease and other valuable consideration. They plan to renovate the building, they plan to do some improvements on site, and I think for that exchange, we would be able to. Mr. Torres, you want to fill in the blanks?
That's accurate. That's not my concern. My primary concern is going to be insurance. If there's any issue there, the building's currently covered. If there's any issue there, our policy won't cover it. The school district enjoys the protection of the Texas Tort Claims Act. That won't transfer to San Diego Historical Society. So they're going to have sufficient insurance coverage for any issue that may arise. That's going to be my primary concern. But Dr. Carmen's right. We'll be able to work something out with regard to additional consideration and additional dollars.
I'm assuming they haven't been notified yet about that whole.
No, I'm going to provide Dr. Carmen. I let him know that we spoke earlier today, and we spoke last week on that. I'm going to provide the initial draft to Dr. Carmen tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
And in conversations,
Right.
in conversations with their board, yet they are aware that they're responsible for the renovations, and we did discuss insurance on the building. So I don't know if they have a cost of that insurance yet, but they won't be, I don't think, surprised by any of these terms.
Okay, thank you. Doc, I have an additional concern. In closing, real quick, I know the whole ordeal with that contractor, back to the enclosing of the gyms. I mean, I have some major concerns with that. You know, this is the second time, and it's not only that. You know, I know this is not on the agenda, but and a concern, I can bring this up. He also gave us a deadline that he was going to fix the girls' softball field, and he didn't follow that deadline either. He was like 2 or 3 weeks behind schedule there too. Didn't follow up with anybody, or and more importantly, there was I guess any pickup after themselves and so on and so forth. So, Doc, I know we've had this concern before. I know we brought it up with Mr. Garcia a few months back, and we had a backup plan. So I don't know how long we're gonna drag this on, or how many times we have to see him come up here and come up with excuses of why he can't do something, or why he's not going through and inspecting his projects when he has contractors out there working. And thirdly, you heard the gentleman's here, as far as these engineers, if they have a body of work, okay, and they know they have to finish within a certain time, they're gonna hire additional help to make sure it gets done. But if we don't have anything in writing that holds them accountable to that, then, I think that's that's a bigger concern than I got. Thank you, Doc.
And point taken. And it's not the same company on those two projects, but it was the same sub doing the work on both projects that I think led to the challenge we've had on both of them. So yes, sir, we are very aware of the concerns with that, the work and their timing.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it.
8:04, adjourn.